Every time that I would have sex with guys, right? Certain guys, I could feel like their energy, right? And I never knew exactly what it was that I was feeling. I remember when I was working at this hardware store, I had a friend of mine that I confided in, and I said, you know what? Every time him and I have sex, like I feel like anxious, right? Like I would feel anxiety, different things, right? And I never could put into words. And so this is the story. Peace, family, peace, 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 peace. All right, so I hope you guys are having a phenomenal day, night, depending on wherever you are. Okay. This topic is a little, I don't want to say like, sensitive, but growing up, right, I never, especially like when it came to like my mother's side of the family, right, they didn't really talk about sex like that, right? Even my mother, like she wouldn't really get into like details about sex or anything like that. And my father was actually the opposite. Okay, my father, you coming at house, he got porn on and everything. So he was actually opposite, and he would even make statements. I know he made a statement to my sister one time before, like, you don't have sex on an empty stomach, and all these different things. So when it came to sex, it was like different, different perspective from, both sides, from my mother's side and my father's side, or from my mother and my father. My mother was more like, I want to say conservative, like when it came to sex or anything like that. My father on the other side, he was more so, he just say whatever, right? And so I remember you know, even when I got pregnant, I told some of you guys, you heard my story about me being pregnant at the age of, I believe it was 12 or 13. And I was living with my father, and he knew about, me being, sexually active or whatever it was like that. He knew I was, messing around and stuff with a guy that was, fairly rather older than me. He knew because the guy would come to the house sometimes. And so doing this video, like, what is my purpose for doing this video? So a few months, matter of fact, a few years ago, I had read Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich. And I don't know if it's the 12th chapter or the 16th chapter, I could be off. But in that book, Napoleon Hill, he talks about sexual transmutation, right? Sexual energy. And I didn't really understand so much. Like now, like I understand it like a little more in depth. But I didn't really understand it like, when I was reading a book. And about a few weeks ago, right? Let me say this. Once I had started doing the work on myself, right, I became very aware about the energy that I allow, right, around me. That's one, like I'm cautious of it. And then two is like I'm aware, okay? And so this is sexual transmutation, right? So in the beginning, I told you guys about when I was working at a hardware store, and I was messing with this guy. And every time we would have sex, I would feel like nervous, like when I would go back into work. And he wasn't the type. He was very, like, we had similar backgrounds, right? He sort of grew up in foster home and foster care. Um, and our backgrounds was like really like similar, right? Because you guys know I, was in a foster home and a group home and stuff like that. And let me just say this, okay? I didn't really understand this, and I used to hear people who say this. In fact, I had heard Bob Proctor be the first to say this, I believe. And one of the things he said was, before you meet somebody, you have met them, right? And some people may be like, how the hell could I have met this person? You know, I never seen this person a day in my life. And it's not like physicality, like met them, is really, you know, energy wise, right? Like the energy that you have going on within yourself. Like if you feel as though, you know, you are nobody, right? Chances are you're gonna meet somebody that's going to reinforce, or they gonna show you like how you feel about yourself. And that's what I mean when I say, before you met the person, you know, you met them. Not on the level where it's though like, oh, you know, my name is Dina, you know, you met me, whatever, before, but on an energy level, right? And so, um, oftentimes, if you look back at your relationships, you could oftentimes see like how you and that person met. Right. For me, I remember I had one day, one of my exes, I was dropping him off to work, and one of the things I was actually doing a video, a Facebook live video, and one of the things I said was like, what did all my exes have in common? Because I didn't, you know, I couldn't pinpoint it, because one of my exes in particular, he would show up like, you know, confident. And once I started doing the work on myself, I was able to see that he wasn't as confident as he portrayed to be, right? It was almost like fake it till you make it. And with energy and vibration frequency, right? In this here universe, I say all the time, you cannot fake it, right? It's energy, right? And whatever you feel on the inside, it reflects on the outside. Maybe you don't believe it, and that's neither here nor there. You do what works for you. But getting back to this, you know, whole sexual transmutation energy thing, right? It was times where as though I would have sex with one of my exes, and I noticed like I would feel, you know, I would be energetic, you know, working out, you know, doing all these different things. And then when him and I would have sex, sometimes I would feel like, you know, I don't want to do nothing, right? Like sort of like stagnant energy. And oftentimes we think like sex is just like, oh, well, you know, sex is just sex. You know, I just want to feed my need, or I just have needs to be met, or whatever it is. But it goes way deeper than that, right? And sex is actually magic. You know, people talk about manifesting through them releasing themselves, you know, so it's deeper than you know what we have been programmed to believe. And so to the person that's out there, right, and say for instance that you like, well, why I don't feel like my doopity spirit, doopity, why I don't feel like cherry, you know, after I have sex with this person, why I don't feel, you know, like outgoing anymore. Like why I'm staying home and I'm depressed and, you know, I'm crying, or, you know, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to get out of my comfort zone. I just want to, you know, probably bitch, moan, complain, or whatever it is like that. That is because the energy that that person have within them, right? That they're not expressing it, right? So it's more than just like, oh, well, I'm just having sex with this person, right? Is more than, oh, she got a fat ass, or is more than, you know, she looked good, or, you know what? In my younger day, okay, my heyday, I remember I will go after guys, and I said this in my previous videos. I will go after guys that they looked, to me, looks was everything. Okay, in my heyday when I was younger, looks was everything. And what I came to discover was the guys that I was dating that looked, you know, so eye candy on the outside, some of them would be the most um traumatized guys that I dated, right? And the reason being was because of the things that I had experienced, right, growing up. And energy, like I said, energy attracts energy. Like attracts like. And, some people say opposites attract, hey, it's what you believe, okay? But what I do know to be true is that this universe isn't biased. It's not going to give you something other than what your energy is offering, okay? And the ones that look so good, those were one of the guys that I dated, I told you guys he was really abusive, right? And he looked eye candy. And to me, I felt like I was the luckiest person, to be in a relationship with him. Although he was a womanizer, he was abusive. And that was something that I agreed to. That was something that I felt like this is what I deserve, right? That was something that's what at that time my worth was. I deserve this, and this is what love looks like, right? Somebody, giving you a black and blue or whatever. I felt like that's what love was, right? And so getting back to the sexual transmutation, listen, right? I'm not here to tell nobody what to do, but if you do feel a certain type of way, consider, right? Like after you had sex with that person, consider, like if you notice every time, the energy is stagnant, you don't feel like your normal self, it could be a possibility because of whatever it is that they growing through or going through, right? Because sometimes people choose not to, you know, heal, I want to say, right? For whatever reason, for fear, sometimes we feel, and healing isn't just like, well, I healed myself, I'm done, I'm complete, right? I mean, you complete already, okay, honey? But healing is an ongoing thing, right? It is, you could never get it done, okay? Like in the words of Abraham Hicks, she don't say healing, you could never get it done, but she says, you will never get it all done, right? And to me, healing is that. Healing is an all-going thing, right? And so I hope this helps someone out there. I always tell you guys, I could never give you anything. You know all of this within yourself already. Sometimes people come and they sort of I don't want to say turn a light bulb on, but they sort of like shine a light, whereas though we could be receptive and say, that kind of makes sense, right? And analyze it from a different perspective. So with that being said, I catch you guys on the next one. Leave some comments down. I always love when you guys comment on the videos. I appreciate it because let me tell you something. Okay, you could be doing something completely different. You do not have to be watching my videos. And so by you taking the time out to do so, it means a lot to me. And I see you guys on the next one. Peace.